I'd like to call this meeting to order and attendance. Okay, Tom Riley, Pioneer Center.
Sarah Shrimp, Senior Care Volunteer Network.
Doug Martin, City of McHenry.
Nick Hammond, City of Crystal Lake.
Jasmine Vega, DOT.
And then introductions. Approve the minutes from the last meeting, which I wasn't here, so I can't.
I can make a motion to approve the last meeting minutes.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. I lost my agenda page.
Introduction.
We did that, didn't we?
Did we?
Oh, we have attendees.
Oh,
on that.
comment, public comment.
Introduce yourselves.
Terry Capel, RTA cab, representing McKenna County Riders.
Thank you.
I am Sarah Fettig. I'm the Supervisor of Mobility Outreach for the RTA.
Thank you.
Ed Gallagher, I'm the Community Relations Representative with Pace Suburban Bus.
Thank you. And then do we have any public comments or?
No, there's
No? Okay. And what's next?
no business.
Okay. The MC Ride program update, Jasmine?
Yes, so, let's see.
There we go.
So in your packets, you'll see the ridership for 2024 summarized. Let's see. Okay, so we have the origin destination. So we had about 87,000 trips on MC Ride last year. 4,242 of those as MCC trips for their students. If you'd like, at our next meeting, we can have a visualization. By then, we should have all 12 months of invoices from Pace. So we can take a look at what that looks like visually of where people were going or coming and going from. But that is the figures that we have at this time. I did want to give an update on MC Ride Connect. Again, this is our rideshare access program where we give eligible riders a up to $16 subsidy for their choice of Uber or UServe trips. Right now we have data from August to November. We were able to provide subsidies on 2,734 trips, totaling about $32,000. The county has appropriated $420,000 for this program. So it looks like we're in a good place right now. In the second box you'll see, or the second table, we started with about 35 unique users using the program. And then in November we had about 64 users using that. It doesn't mean that that's the total amount of people that are enrolled in the program, just that of the, say by November we had about 150, only about 64 of those enrolled users were actually using the program in November. The average subsidy as of November was $13.55. Just as a comparison, right now our average subsidy per trip on MC Ride Dollaride is about $39. So we need more data to kind of come up with metrics of success, but so far it's looking good on our end. Staff is on top of monitoring this, and through our partnership with Pace, we're looking at this month by month. And then I wanted to show you all a visual of what this looks like. Okay. So our GIS team here was able to create a heat map where the yellow is where we have more rides either beginning or ending, and then these navy blue spots being more infrequent trips. I believe the longest trip that was provided was about 66 miles. And I think that was somewhere from Huntley to, let's see if it shows here. Let me see it. So it wasn't O'Hare, it was past O'Hare. It was somewhere closer to the south side, and it was just a couple of trips, but that was one of the longest trips. We're looking at about 64 to 66 miles. Again, the county will only cover up to $16 of that trip, so although we don't know the total cost of it, we do know that people are using this to take Ubers to, say, O'Hare. And I can only imagine what that Uber cost might be, but we do know that they're using the full $16 to help essentially provide a lower cost for that trip. Is there any questions about this? It's not really giving you any exact places, but this is kind of what we expected, where our hotspots would be Crystal Lake, Woodstock, Huntley area. But we are providing some trips into more rural areas of the county, so that's good to see. Any questions?
So are more people going out of town with McHenry Connect than?
No. There are trips going out of town, out of the county, but a majority of them are still happening inside the county. So from one place to another in the county, but we are seeing people traveling outside of it. And just based off of those addresses, it seems to be more medical, health-related trips,
Okay.
doctor's offices, things like that. But a majority of them are happening inside the county. And although riders are able to leave it, it looks like our users are using it to travel within McHenry County.
Are you, oh, sorry, are you seeing a lot of multiple trips per day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do have a few users who are using it pretty frequently. And it does fall in within our guidelines. Our parameters are that people can use this program up to 8 times a day. They would still have to pay that initial $4. So we are seeing people using it multiple times a day. I think we have a handful of individuals who have used it, say, up to 60 times in a month. And then there's a majority of the people who are using it a couple of times, 1 to 6 times a month. So really infrequently, but we do have those heavy users as well.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Sure.
Do you know how far somebody can go on $20 with Uber?
How far they can travel?
Yeah.
As long as they're traveling within the 6-county Chicagoland region, they
No,
can.
I'm wondering how long of a trip does it $20 give someone in an Uber?
Yeah, I think it depends. It doesn't. The cost of your Uber isn't just dependent on the time it takes to get from one place to another. It's distance, it's availability of drivers. So, for instance, where I live in Chicago, from one point to another, it might be a $30 trip at 5 p.m. But if I took that trip at 3 a.m., it would cost maybe $30 at 5 p.m., $15 at 3 a.m. So it just really depends on these different metrics that Uber comes up with that I have no idea. So it depends. It is easier to measure that, say, on MC Ride, where it's mileage based, but Uber's not just mileage based, it's a handful of other metrics.
Type of vehicle too, is
Right.
the other variables.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct. And yeah, I just wanted to provide that. I'll keep going with the monthly updates or as we meet throughout the year with MC Ride Connect. I think it's good to know what that looks like, similar to how we're looking at MC Ride and ridership on a monthly basis as well. So we'll keep going with that. But that's wraps it up on my end.
And it's funded all next year, the county?
Yes, it should be. Yeah, I think we're only expecting to maybe use up around 100,000 of that funding based off of where we're at now. who knows? But we should be okay to next year.
Okay. Any service partner updates? Ed, do we have an RTA?
We have RTA.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Good.
I'm Sarah Fettig, I'm the supervisor of mobility outreach. So I am from the mobility outreach division where solely works with older adults and people with disabilities. I'm covering, currently right now, we are hiring for a mobility outreach coordinator to cover this area, Lake County, Northwest Cook, and North Shore Cook. We are still in the interview stages, but we're hopeful that we'll have someone to be able to provide more outreach in the near future. So I'm going to provide an update for mobility outreach, and then I'll kind of talk a little bit more about the RTA as a whole. So for mobility outreach side, we offer a travel training program. It's free for older adults and people with disabilities. Pre-pandemic, we used to offer a service where individuals with low vision or blind could use travel training through a certified O&M specialist. We haven't been able to hire anyone since pre-pandemic due to the national shortage of O&M specialists. So the travel training program has rolled out a new workshops to assist individuals with learning how to use public transportation. It is a travel training program solely focused on low vision and individuals who are blind. We're offering 4 workshops throughout the year. We'll have a classroom workshop, a workshop that focuses on in-field simple trips, an orientation of a bus or a train station, and then also like a mock setup where somebody can practice alighting on a bus. So this is going to be offered each quarter, and people can sign up for this. We do have a wait list, so people would need to sign up and be put on that wait list, and they can email traveltraining@rtachicago.org, or they can also call 312-913-3120. So that is one of the programs that we have launched recently. Additionally, we have launched a digital library that hosts all of our RTA resources that solely focus on older adults, people with disabilities, and individuals experiencing low income. That is housed on our website, so if you go to rtachicago.org under Writers, the digital library is called Travel Assistance Digital Library. And you can actually find all of our brochures on there for reduced fare, ride free, access pilot program, travel training, ADA paratransit, and the applications. They're available in English and Spanish. And we also created a booklet too that's kind of like a one-stop shop for transit that has all the information for CTA PACE, METRA, and RTA programs. It has how to file a complaint, to a compliment, to having all the phone numbers just in one spot. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It has a lot of great resources. For the RTA as a whole, you've probably seen recently the RTA launched the Transforming Transit Report, which highlights our vision of where we see public transportation in the future. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend downloading the report. It's available on our website, rtachicago.org. But it focuses on what we see the $1.5 billion investment would be for the public transportation system. Really focusing on reducing wait times and streamlining the system is really the RTA's focus, and having a stronger RTA which holds accountability, and also so the service boards can focus on providing transit. Now there are some ways that you can stay involved, as a lot of this information is new and is starting the vision. So we recommend attending our board meetings. They are streamed as well. They're typically hosted every third Thursday morning, so you can get live updates from there. But we're also hosting a RTA Coalition meeting on Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. I highly recommend, if you'd like to give input about the report, to attend. You do have to register to attend, and I can send the link to Jasmine so she can share. But it's a great way to learn a little bit more about what the report looks like and what the next steps are for the RTA, and also providing your feedback too. So that's my update.
Thank you. Is there a Metro?
There's not a Metro rep here, but we do have their updates as a handout.
Okay.
Sure. Ed Gallagher, Pace for Bus. I gave everybody a nice laminated copy of our annual report. If you have time, take a closer look at it. It has a lot of the details for some of the large projects that we were able to successfully launch, implement, and move forward this past year. I have a quick list to help. Some of those major accomplishments were Pace reached 80% average weekday ridership compared to our 2019 levels of average weekday ridership. We launched successfully the Rideshare Access program in March of last year, and we successfully assisted and gladly expanded it with the help of McHenry County here with the MC Ride Connect program. We launched the Ventra prepayment service on all of our coordinated services. Those are the MC Ride, Ride Lake County, Riding Cane, Will Rides, and then the DuPage County Dial-A-Ride as well. You can now pay with your Ventra card in advance when booking, so you no longer need to bring that cash. We also, in line with that, we launched a Trip Check mobile app. It's called Trip Check. And that is a mobile app that individuals who take the Dial-A-Ride and take the MC Ride program or the ADA services can load on their phone to see their current trips, their next trips, their previous trips, and it gives them more opportunity to connect with Pace if there's any issues regarding those trips. It's Trip Check mobile app. It's all in all your app stores. We also successfully worked with the RTA, Metra, and the CTA to coordinate a regional day pass pilot program. We reached the official agreement on that program. The new single ride passes will be coming through the Ventra system this year. Ventra's just working on the back end to get that all taken care of for us. Revision, Pace's network revitalization study and concepts. We put out concept maps. Were released last year. We also successfully launched a public survey that just ended at the end of January. So our team is in the process of reviewing that public survey. And I appreciate many of the members of the committee as well as the county provided direct input, including letters of support or letters of recommendation for the different revision concepts, so we appreciate that input. Then we launched new bus services and expanded weekend services in different areas of the region. We pushed our Project Zero initiative forward with advancing the project and selecting or being awarded further grants to expand our electrification and hybrid electric purchasing, as well as finalize some paperwork with the purchase, hopefully this year, of electric paratransit buses for McHenry County. We also then expanded our Hire on the Spot events to having 2 locations in the Chicagoland area that you can come to every Thursday to meet with our HR staff and apply and walk out with a job. So those are some of the high-level things that you'll see in the report. We have nice, in-depth articles about most of those programs. So if you want to take a look at it, please do. For ridership, I have some really great news. We saw a 20% year-over-year growth between 2023 and 2024. Ridership trends continue to grow. So that 20% growth led to, in December, we had 1.7 million trips, bringing our average compared to pre-pandemic levels for December up to 71.3% of pre-pandemic levels. And then our RAT program that I mentioned, and we've seen the expansion with the MC Ride Connect program. Our RAT program that launched in March had originally 5,000 trips per month. We are now seeing over 100,000 trips on that RAT program per month as of the end of the year. So December and November were both 100,000 trips on that service. So as you've seen with the MC Ride program, it grows exponentially as people start to see the benefit and get registered and access those types of alternative transit benefit programs. So we continue to push our RAP program and encourage individuals to take those additional options. Lastly, the revision process is continuing. We closed the official survey in January. The next steps for the program are to create a draft plan for service improvements by incorporating all of the feedback that we have gathered from public stakeholders as well as the general public and our riders. That draft plan should be released come mid-2025. Then we will continue to gather feedback on that draft plan. So once we release the draft plan, we'll go out again to public comment and collect more feedback to then have the final plan by the beginning of 2026 for hopeful implementation there in 26. So the concepts that we put out did have, the goal of getting the financial crisis closed with them using those additional dollars to expand services. We hope to put those dollars on the street in 2026. And then throughout this process, you can continue to stay engaged. You can follow our website at pacebus.com/revision. You can also, if you didn't get a chance to submit comments or you've gone back and looked at the maps and have an updated feedback you want to mention, like, oh, we should put that bus in a different street or on a different road or get service to a different community, we are still collecting emails. So you can send us an email at thepacebus.com/revision. The website, there's a specific revision email. I have not memorized it, but it's on the website. If you go to the website, you can click it and it'll automatically open up your email to send us an update. So tell us if you didn't get a chance to submit comments, please do. The sooner the better, because we're already very much in the process of getting onto that draft plan and incorporating some of the changes that people have asked us to take into. So if you have feedback, please submit it as soon as you can.
I had a question. In
Yeah.
the Ventra pilot program, will that be, do you know the locations? Is the UP Northwest line?
Yeah, so the Ventra pilot program is a coordinated one-day pass with all 3 services. So the pilot will be the opportunity for individuals to buy a single ticket and be able to ride unlimited on PACE, Metra, and the CTA without having to pay a transfer
It's
fee.
not specific, it's the whole.
No, it's the entire region.
Okay.
Yeah, it's our entire region. So we came into an agreement regarding funding of sharing. So when people buy the ticket, we get so much of the funding from that ticket. So that was the back end agreement we had to make with all the agencies. The difference in the cost, so there are a couple different costs to the pass. It depends on how far you're traveling on Metra. So if you're traveling from, say, Harvard, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than if you were, say, traveling from, I think it's probably like the McHenry County line, somewhere close to Cary probably is a different zone. Metra has changed their zones. But that's really the deciding factor on how far you're traveling with Metra is the determination of how much that single pass will cost you, but it will be eligible to be used on all of our systems. So you can get that single day pass and ride Metra, then take a PACE bus, and then take a CTA train, wherever you need to go for a single cost. So that'll be coming out later this year. Yeah. And then the other Ventra one was for the MC Ride service, so the prepayment. If you can now link your Ventra card to your account, and then when you ride on MC Ride, you just gotta, when you're registering your trip, you just gotta tell us you're paying with Ventra, and we'll deduct it from your Ventra account. So then you don't have to have the cash on hand anymore. And I had presented, the county has on their website a link to the PDF kind of slides for how someone would link their Ventra card to their MC Ride account so that they can get that prepayment taken care of. Appreciate the county for updating the website so quickly.
I just have a question, Brad.
Yes.
A student emailed me yesterday about the PACE on demand in Lake County.
Yes.
So she's been doing that, and she was just wondering how that translates to McHenry County. And before I answer her question, I just want to make sure that I'm answering it correctly, and that right now this service is only available to disabled folks and ones that have met the qualifications. Am I getting that right?
No, actually, so On Demand is a separate service. So
Okay.
On Demand is a focused dial-a-ride system that we have set up in certain geographic areas across the 6-county region. Lake County has 2. We've got 2 in Kane County. We have at least 1 in Will County and another in, I think there's 1 in DuPage as well. But those are set geographic regions where we put a bus and it just circulates only in that area. And individuals can call to get a ride on that service. They can book a trip now on their phone via that service. So the on-demands in Lake County are around Lake area and the Vernon Hills area. Both of those on-demands service the CLCs, the county campuses, as well as all the metro stations and different PACE buses.
The CLC is giving their students bus passes.
Yes.
So like, I'm hearing about this, like, why don't we get a bus pass?
Yeah,
So,
no, that's
anyway.
fair. Yeah, I would counter that with, you know, you have the MC Ride service where students who are taking that service have a pass in a way.
Yes.
Right, so, but with the on-demand service, that was actually part of our revision process. So as we look into revision, we were looking at changing up where we have those on-demands. Maybe there are new areas that could see that services. For one of the draft scenarios, we had removed an on-demand and put in a new one in a different area. It was like right on the corner of Lake County, Lake Zurich, Barrington area, Killdeer. So one of the maps had one drawn there, but it's a completely separate service that unfortunately is not available in McHenry County.
And the question of if it will ever be available in McHenry County, I'm sure I'm gonna get that.
It's based on revision. It's based on revision.
Okay.
So we're in the process of collecting that feedback. If it's, you know, if we get the feedback that individuals would prefer to see an on-demand versus a fixed bus route, which is usually you get one or the other type of decision that we have to make. You know, we might look into that. So they can still send us an email that they'd like to see an on-demand service, say in Woodstock or in Crystal Lake if they'd like. Because we would still have the ability to update our draft plan as we move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I was confused when she was talking about it, so thank you.
No, that's fair. Yeah, and it's a really great service, the on-demand service. You know, it's a smaller version of like your MC Ride for like just a single city or just like a couple of little townships or areas. And we drop them into areas where we have historically found that there's, you know, individuals in need, low car ownership, you know, high density, but not just enough for us to truly invest in a full fixed bus route, unfortunately. Because we've been so strapped with cash, the on-demands have been less expensive for us to implement. But the hope is that an on-demand will kind of grow into utilization to become a fixed bus route in the future. It's kind of like the initial expansion, and then we look in the future for fixed bus routes.
Great, thank you.
MC Ride fare cards?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I have one thing. Gary could not be here with us today, so he had an update for us, so I'll be Gary for just a quick minute. Gary Scott is the point person for McHenry County Services, including the MC Ride program. To contact him directly, his email is gary.scott, that's SCOTT, @pacebus.com, or you can give him a call at 312-341-8067. I think he's shared his contact information with everybody in the past. Our contractor, TransDev, continues to have high on-time percentage that is above the contractual standards of 95%, including our on-time percentage to appointments. Complaints continue to be at a minimum for the MC Ride program. If you're interested in filing a complaint, please call the 1-800-606-1282, option 2, or you can send an email to the passenger.services@pacebus.com. Our contractors are hiring for a number of positions. So if you're interested, the TransDev is the local contractor. Their office is in McHenry. And I believe Jasmine might have their contact information if anyone needs it, but we share it with the county staff on a regular basis. PACE is also hiring a number of positions. You can check out PACE's bus at pacebus.com/careers. In our efforts to prevent sickness from our riders and our drivers, vehicles are continuing to be sanitized daily and washed inside and out at least twice a week. Beginning in December 2024, MC Ride began utilizing UServe to provide additional capacity for the MC Ride program. So that's one of our TNC alternative companies that provides trips. They have ADA accessible vehicles. So it's really nice to hear that they're now coming up here. PACE is processing December 2024 local shares, and we'll be getting the invoices out soon, along with backup for the MC Ride Connect and the MC Ride program shortly. Upcoming this year, later in 2025, PACE will be adding an additional TNC network company to the Rideshare Access program. I just learned something. to help increase capacity. In the upcoming months, we will be rolling out YouServe as a TNC option for the MC Ride Connect program. Any questions, you can just contact Gary directly. But that's awesome that the YouServe TNC is going to be expanding out here for the MC Ride Connect program. That's awesome. It's an ADA, they're all ADA accessible vehicles and will be able to assist people. Great, thank you.
Thank you. And now the MC Ride fare cards.
So the next few items are all discussion items that staff wanted to run through all of you before making any type of decisions on mostly the administrative part and program part of MC Ride and MC Ride Connect. The first one is our MC Ride fare cards. So right now we can distribute, I should have brought them so you can see them, but they're just a card stock. It's the size of a business card, and it allows certain organizations or agencies to distribute these cards to their clients, and those cards allow one free trip on the passenger's end. So that agency or organization will purchase those from the county. We invoice them for the cost of those cards. They're $3 each, and then the organization can distribute them to their clients. And those are only valid on MC Ride. It doesn't matter the distance or the mileage, it will cover the entire trip. So we've had the system in place for, even before me, I think they've had it since the inception of this program. And so what we wanted to discuss is whether we keep this program or we pivot to something else. Right now, the administrative responsibilities aren't necessarily a burden, but I do think that we can become more progressive in transitioning out of these fare cards. We, of the, say, 50 agencies that have purchased from us in the past 2 years, we can condense probably about 5 to 7 of these agencies that are actually buying these in bulk. And in bulk is 1,000 to 2,000 cards at once, and they'll buy them just once a year. When Scott and I were discussing what this could become, we've talked about it, kind of how we function with the Senior Care Volunteer Network, where we have a partnership, or with MCC, where these organizations or agencies will pay forward, and then we are subtracting the trips from,
Like a spend down?
right, we're spending down the amount that they give us. So say a local church wants to provide trips for certain individuals, they'll provide us a list of people, and they pay $5,000 for the year of 2025, and we enter into an agreement where we'll spend down that $5,000 based off of the list of individuals that they give us. So that's something that it could become, but I know that's a lot of information. I hope it's making sense, but we could keep going as is. We could change the cost of the fare cards to $3 right now. General public is $2. Reduced fare is, sorry,
Yeah.
other way around.
Right.
Reduced fare is $2. General public is $4. The fare card is $3. No distance-based limits on that as well. So what are y'all's thoughts on this? Do we keep as is? Do we throw ideas out there? It's just something that's been on the books for a while, so it's kind of time to bring it up again to this committee.
We were actually just talking about these cards the other day. It's funny you brought it up because MTC's going to run out of money soon for the free one. And so we've been just tossing ideas around about like, okay, now what do? We have 600 riders a month and we can't really say, sorry. So we were talking about these cards, and sort of the consensus was to expect a student to keep track of a little piece of paper is a lot. So not that speaks for everybody, but I don't know if there's another option that's electronic, or there's an app, or there's something that, yeah,
Thinking of electronic option.
thing that might be a little easier to hang on to and keep track of.
Right.
But everyone has to register by name for a ride anyway, so it's, I mean, if you just did it by name, you wouldn't need anything, right? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but there would have to be the agency paying for that trip, so there'd have to be an exchange of funds before we have a list of people.
I understand that, but instead of coming in and buying 500 tickets, you'd come in and like give a list of names and write a check, the agency, right? And then,
Show a card on her phone.
We could never, yeah, I mean, ours are kind of emergency kind of things
Right.
generally, because otherwise they can take it.
Couldn't they be credited to the agency?
Yeah, and that's essentially how it works almost, is that, for instance, so for MCC, their students, they'll call ahead, they'll get their trip, it has to go to MCC, or coming or going from MCC, and that's it on their end. On the back end of it is that MCC paid us 2-3 years ago a lump sum to credit down or to spend down. So yeah, so it would function like that for these higher amounts, but then there's these smaller amounts of, say, a local church who's also just buying 20 tickets at a time. And I think that administrative burden would be too big on the different agencies that we're working with. So it'd be DOT, PACE. So it works, I think, for programs who are wanting to buy, say, like 2,000 tickets at a time, 1,000 tickets, not necessarily 20 or 30, which is the majority of the requests that we get. So pivoting from that, I mean, there is Ventra. Ventra is now accepted on MC Ride. I think that would give those administrative duties back to the agencies, where, say, Ventra allows group sales, they would just have to organize that on their end. And so, yeah, essentially, as the staff person who does this, is that it would feel a bit like we're giving that responsibility back to the agency to load, say, Ventra cards, prepay them. And it's been something that we've discussed in the past, but we do have a lot of organizations who are, I think, slower to adapt to the technology changes, just like with electronic payment and things like that, that's normally how Ventra cards are paid for electronically. So sometimes we have local churches who just don't want to give their personal information or
Yeah,
attach
so
a
they're
credit
just handing
card.
someone a card and then they're using it?
No,
Is that how
so
that
like the Ventra card is its own payment card that you can tap to get on the train, the bus, and then you can use it to load funds onto that. So say if we did pivot to a system like this where we only use this partnership to accommodate big requests of, say, 1,000 to 2,000 trips, and then we provide resources to these other organizations who are only wanting to buy 20 at a time and give them resources for Ventra. What they would likely have to do on their end is buy in bulk Ventra cards, for instance, load those Ventra cards with the payment of their choosing. If they wanted to pay in cash, they would have to go in person to buy those in person. If they wanted just an electronic card, they would use electronic payment. There's different ways to pay for those, but it would really just be giving that responsibility back to these organizations and agencies.
So out of the 50 companies, how many are buying like 100 and how many are buying like 5?
A majority of people are buying smaller amounts. So our minimum that you can purchase right now is 20. So
Okay.
a majority of say 100 from the past, or 50 of these of people or agencies who have purchased in the past 3 years, only, a majority of them, about 90%, there's only a handful of them who are buying these large sums of cards.
So it's mostly smaller ones?
Yes.
Seems like there was a time period that they could adapt to something.
I agree.
And, or maybe start giving, you give like $10 on a Ventra card.
Yeah, it depends on how you pay. I think if you're doing electronic payment, the minimum you can add is $5 at a time. In cash, it's $1, but you would have to go in person.
But you could give those to the churches that just want the 20.
Yeah, they can load individual cards with a certain amount and then distribute those to their clients.
I was thinking if the county did that, then they'd have the card, so they wouldn't have to come back to get more. You know what I'm saying? The churches or whatever could load them or.
Yeah, I don't think the county would take that, would be the ones who are purchasing the venture card in general. It would just,
Say no.
yeah. I think it would just be a middle step that wouldn't be necessary. I think that as long as these organizations and agencies know how to do it, we would leave them that responsibility to order them or go and get them.
So they essentially get rid of the paper cards
Mm-hmm.
and just encourage the agencies to be using the Ventra system instead of.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And that's just an option.
Paper and plastic.
Yeah.
The root of this is just to talk about whether or not we want to keep fare cards or if there's any guidance to move forward and look into different options. But I do know that there's interest in transitioning out of the use of fare cards.
I like the venture. I mean, everything seems to be going that way. I mean, how do they pay for the cards right now usually?
You could pay over, I don't know if you can pay over the phone, but I know you
Credit
can,
card.
there's an app that you can load your own funds to. You could go to.
It draws on your credit card.
Right.
Yeah.
How do they pay you for the fare cards?
They, the county takes credit card, checks, cash. They just need to pay before they're invoiced, they need to pay for their fare cards and then they can come pick them up.
They pay a lot, and then whether they use them or not, they buy them in bulk,
Yes,
and then they distribute, right?
yes.
Because I was just thinking if people had phones and then the agencies had a credit card, I mean, they could do the venture thing.
So I will say first, for the MC Ride program, individuals don't tap to ride. So if they have a Ventra card, they don't tap to ride. They prepay. So that means they have to have a Ventra card on their account. Now agencies, as has been mentioned, agencies can bulk buy Ventra cards. They can bulk buy those types of passes. And then a person would be able to link that to their own Ventra account to then pay. But individuals would have to have their own Ventra card that would then, they'd have to put funds onto. Some,
You can't use the app?
you can use the app, yeah. If you have the physical card, you can link it to your account and then have the app. And then you yourself can choose if you want to have it linked to your credit card or other.
Okay.
But the way that you reload the money, if you don't have a phone or don't want to use your phone or don't want to use your credit card, is you can visit a Ventra servicer, have them take your card, scan it, and then give them cash, and they'll put money on the card
Okay.
for you. We do have some devices, I don't believe there's one in McHenry, but you can go to a lot of our check cashing locations and some Jewel-Oscos have the ability to link into the Ventra system for people to reload their accounts. Not everyone, so I don't know if there is one in McHenry County, but for the most part, those are the locations you can go. We do also allow nonprofits to become servicers, meaning they sign an agreement with Ventra, they get a little device, so then individuals can walk in to the front office, have their card scanned, and then there could be an exchange of money so that the card gets loaded. So that is also a possibility for some of your bigger users. There is a process to that. We would connect you with Ventra to have that deeper discussion about how to become a servicer. But it would be up to you the way it's been explained to me is it's up to you to determine who you're gonna be that servicer for. So like you could be your clients, you could have it open to the general public, you just have to be able to manage the trading of funds that are being loaded onto the venture card. So there's
So
a couple
you-
options.
So you have to have a venture card anyway. And then in addition, you would get an MC Ride card. And what we're talking about is a fare card. And getting rid of those fare cards and just having it all done on venture. That makes much more sense to me. I don't know. Makes more, that just all in one place, all in venture rapid.
And not doing it two completely different ways. Yeah.
Unless you have, like you said, a big bulk purchase, it's MCC, or you guys buy thousands of them or whatever.
It does make more sense.
Can I know that RTA recently started a program where they're providing free ride cards through organizations that help keep women, mostly, well, I guess mostly women, that are dealing with sexual harassment and such trauma. I'm just wondering, how do those organizations distribute cards? Do they distribute on a Ventra, do you know, or?
Yeah, so that is the domestic violence program,
Yeah.
where they were given a set amount of cards with $20 on it already. So the $20 was already, we purchased the venture cards, put the $20 on, and then gave to the organization. But I did find some of the nearest Ventra locations, like Julasco. The closest one to here, Woodstock, is Huntley, Julasco.
Okay.
It's almost
There
10
we go.
miles away, so.
And there's no less.
There's
What?
Yeah, not very
So the-
That's it? There's just two?
No,
That was
there's
just a
two-
close.
Oh, okay, I'm like, what?
One's
Yeah,
academic.
I assumed
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
on
okay.
Crystal Lake.
Fox River
It
Grove
was
is 15 miles, West Dundee, so really nothing very close.
Okay, so nothing very close.
Yeah.
It was Crystal Lake, right? The jewel off them.
Yeah. Fox River Grove was the
There's,
next
yeah,
closest.
there is.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to collect some feedback on what the feel was of transitioning out of that, but there's no decisions being made, or they won't be made without bringing it back here and,
I think it makes sense. If it takes the onus off of
You guys.
the this administrator and put it back on the agencies who are really benefiting from it, I would think that makes sense to me.
Especially
I
for the small
agree.
ones. Yeah.
Because either way, you're actually doing kind of the admin on both ends then. Because no matter what, someone on the other one has to distribute them, track who they're going to, you would think, right? So, yeah, I would.
okay. The next discussion item is just, so, our fare structure, so it hasn't changed officially, but it is changing this year. Just as a refresher, is in wanting to be more in line with regional Data Ride services, we are transitioning where if users want to access the reduced fare, they will have to have an RTA permit ID. So that's the ride free or the reduced fare IDs. Those are all administered through the RTA. People will need to apply for those if they don't have one already, and the RTA reviews those and will distribute permit IDs if they're accepted into one of those programs.
Is the RTA permit ID the same ID that they're needing to get for MC Connect as well? Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes, so we didn't start that on January 1st. It definitely wasn't enough time for riders to make their transition. And we also haven't started to market that change or really announce it formally. And so what I'm asking you all is just feedback on a start date. DOT staff has talked about beginning this in the fall. So allowing about 5 to 6 months to get information out there, provide resources, work more closely to the RTA or with the RTA, so that we can hold, say, workshops or sign-up events, things like that, allow us to go to more events, community events to spread the word. And so we were looking at potentially an August 1st or September 1st start date where, say, on September 1st, someone is calling ahead to book a trip, or say for September 1st. And if they don't have an RTA ID by then, they'll be charged the fare, which is the $4 for the general public. And they'll be charged that until they have their RTA ID with that number. If they call ahead for a trip on September 1st and they do have theirs, then they will be able to access that reduced fare of $2. Is there any initial thoughts on that timeline?
How long does it take to get the RTA card once you register?
I would say a few weeks, right, to get that in the mail.
Yeah, so it really depends on how you apply. So if you go through our fair portal, it's a 7 to 10 business day turnaround on it. If it's by paper, it's usually about 3 to 4 weeks, but keep in mind mail too. Sometimes there can be issues regarding that. So
The barrier, the challenge, and this is, I guess, I don't know if it's relevant or not, but at least with our population, is scanning the information that's required for the permit. Like, they don't have those capabilities usually at their house, so they usually have to find a place to go to do it. So that's kind of a barrier for some of that.
Take it with their phone?
I don't know.
yeah, so it actually is very app and phone friendly. You can use an iPad, a computer, or your smartphone. Sometimes when I'm at sign-up events, it's easier for me to use my work phone to process through the fair portal, because you can just take a picture right there and then upload.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
We'll also say there are in-person locations
Oh,
that can
wow.
assist with
So that
that
explains
too.
how to do it.
The RTA has coordinated sites that they've worked with to
Right.
assist in person.
Yeah, we've been referring
Okay.
to
Yeah,
their,
services.
it's, that's an extra step. So the more steps you
That's true.
have.
Yes.
Obviously, it doesn't affect everybody, but I would like to see the deadline be either before or significantly after the beginning of the school year. So like you're not feeling like, I just looked at August. I'm guessing school starts around the 18th or the 25th, somewhere on one of those Mondays. I don't know what Crystal like, but for MCC, it's probably around there somewhere.
Okay.
But for the other schools, for other people that are taking, I guess it doesn't affect our elementary and high school students much, but
Would August 1st work?
August 1st would work if that's
It
not
could be doable.
too soon.
If they did it right,
Yeah.
maybe at the beginning on the phone.
Yeah.
And then we can do some sign-up events and stuff at MCC for sure.
Because that's what I was thinking about, school,
Yeah.
Schools are starting even sooner now.
Are they?
Fourth, fifth, yeah, they keep moving it up, so.
It's like 15.
Yeah, it's another week before, so August 1st would be better.
Okay. Yeah, and right now we're still planning what the next steps in terms of marketing is gonna be. So right now we're talking about a seat drop with Pace on the buses where we would leave information, info about the changes, the fare changes, resources for RTA, how to sign up. We have a mail campaign planned, so we're targeting the the riders from 2024, and making sure that all of those unique riders are getting something in the mail with, again, information on the change and then resources for RTA programs. And then that'll take some time as well too.
We need a spot for sign-up events or something, don't we? Figure us in.
Yeah.
So planning August 1st, how far in advance would you send like mailers or any of that information out?
For sure, where are we at? February. I would say like March, April.
Okay.
Yeah, it shouldn't take too long to actually assemble all of those things. And yeah, we've been talking with Pace for a couple months now, so
Okay.
we just needed to solidify a date and then go from there. But we're hoping that a majority of the time is being given to riders to actually sign up, and I know how things come up, so just have that information out as soon as we can, and then doing reminders, things like that, before, say, the August 1st.
I was gonna say, are they gonna be able to sign up prior to August 1st, or are you saying your kickoff start taking those applications on the 1st?
The fair change will,
Happen on the 1st, but they can get their permits and everything prior to that?
yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And then the last item is just MC Ride Connect eligibility. I was seeing if Scott was watching us because he was tuning in here and there. So we've had a couple of requests to expand the eligibility requirements for MC Ride Connect. We all know that you have to have an RTA ride-free, reduced fare card. We've gotten feedback from different departments in the county who are interested in including their own clients, which include WIC clients and other low-income clients. And so what we wanted to discuss is initial thoughts. It doesn't necessarily need to be WIC clients, but we can use that as an example since we've had a request from an agency to consider these types of clients. Is what is the initial thoughts of expanding eligibility?
I'm sorry, could you say what that means?
Women and
It's
children.
women, infants, and children.
Oh, okay.
It's similar to the SNAP program, which provides food assistance, and so this one is specifically for women, infants, and children.
I mean, with the reduced fare, having the card, that's RTA handles that for you, but the income, if this was, say, an income base, so it would include what clients, who would be doing that determination? The agencies, or, I mean, I think they do have to be.
Open up,
Hmm?
you kind of open up interesting box
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
Slippery slope.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard to determine which agencies fall into, within those parameters that are established. Yeah, you'd have to have a definitive kind of line, and I don't know how you draw that.
And I think, I mean, based on, you know, when I write grants, I always say that 98% of our clients are in this income range, because there's always outliers.
Outliers, yeah.
So, and that's what, and I just.
What do you do with the outliers?
And the people who do it at our agency, you know, income verification, that's like a constant job, so I just, I like the idea of it, but I'm just wondering about, we were just talking about all the administrative type.
So the RT, you're talking about the RTA permit ID, that's what that you're talking about right now, or
That's what
That's what we
now.
currently require.
Right, right, and there's certain eligibility through RTA to get that card.
No.
Yes, you have to be an older adult or a person with a disability.
Disabilities.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
So wouldn't they have to change?
No, so
There-
that would be for our program and how we, so we're,
The income.
right, so we're talking about, we use RTAs as a mode of verification for certain riders.
Right.
This is, say if we expanded it to income, we would use WIC, which WIC has its own system where individuals are assigned an ID, a unique ID. And I don't know if there's necessarily an expiration date on that of how long people are able to use these benefits. And that would be the second end of this, is just how to verify eligibility. But yes, we would be asking agencies, so say this request came from the health department, so we would look to the health department to verify that their clients do have WIC and for however long they're receiving it, and then provide us a list of clients to be eligible for the program.
If I could just add, just something that Metra and RTA and Cook County launched was Access Pilot Program, And one of the criteria is you have to be a person receiving SNAP. And we require a SNAP eligibility letter. So that's how we provide the determination for that in our application process. So there is typically a letter that they're provided.
And we do accept, right now, we are accepting that, oh my gosh, we're accepting,
Access?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And so I think of maybe the 190 individuals that are enrolled in the program, I think about 7 of them are a part of the Access Pilot program. And which means that they are also receiving SNAP benefits. So this one would specifically be for WIC, which also opens up a door of who falls in there.
They still have to pay for it, right? They're just eligible to use it, right?
Yes.
Well, I think then if, rather than the broader if a specific program that they're already, someone's, they're being verified, they get a letter that they can show, and just, rather than say that it's a low income, but if WIC clients are also eligible for this.
Okay, weird question. How would the agency then be the one kind of monitoring the length of time, or what if they have to like revoke it for some, I don't know, I'm just asking a question, like who would be the oversight on, I mean, again, if they're paying it, to me it's kind of paying, but, and if the ridership isn't at capacity, right? Like, it's not like the buses are full, right? And the more people that ride the bus, the more buses it just sort of seems like, why, kind of do what you need to do to get people on the bus.
What's the
What's the negative?
Not do the limitations.
Yeah, what's the negative?
I could take limitations away and just, everybody can use it. I don't know that we have the capacity for that.
I don't either. I guess that's an RTA question. Or an MC Wright question.
It would probably more fall on your budgeting for your
Okay.
MC Ride Connect. So that program is currently only funded through the county.
Okay.
PACE did provide an additional one-time subsidy this year, but for the most part, they have the opportunity to use it for MC Ride or MC Ride Connect. And right now, MC Ride Connect is only a county-funded program. So that would really be your constraint, would be that you're getting X amount of funding based on what your projections are. Is it safe to expand?
And I think people, that nobody would choose MC Ride. They'd say, right, I want my Uber guy. Right?
Yeah, well, it might be
Yeah.
well, there's this, or you could try MC Connect, or, options I think are, I just wonder, in the back of my brain,
If
I'm
you're
going, okay, the
disabled,
only
you
people.
can't use Uber or MC Connect.
Well, if UServe though is coming to McHenry County, then they would be able to.
Yeah, they'll UServe as wheelchair accessible vehicles. Well, Uber is committed to having them, they might not be available.
Right,
or
UServe
additional
is more
fees
of
and
a-
things like that, so there is the other servicer will be coming up here in the near future.
Right.
You save all that money with Uber.
Right. I don't know, I just think it's, WIC is the one bringing it up, but how do you only serve, I don't know how you could do that. I don't know. To
Well,
me,
if
it's-
somebody else comes forward, I don't know.
College students, there's a lot of different categories that,
There are a lot of, I'll say SNAP eligible people who are very limited in their transportation options. The low income, and if income isn't necessarily one of the criteria right now, maybe it should be. Those are the ones who are dealing with the greatest need in being able to get around, because affording a car, gas, insurance, all those things, that's one of the biggest barriers that they have.
Yeah, I
Is with
agree.
the income.
I think income should definitely be a criteria.
Because you can put a threshold on income, but you can't necessarily put a threshold on what the agency thinks their riders need. Do you know what I mean? Not that you don't trust the agencies to make the right call, but even as an age, I would want some kind of parameter to stick to. So that's,
So I just want to point out for the Access Pilot program, although it is for individuals who are experiencing low income, it does expire at July 31st, 2025. So it does expire then. It's a pilot right now, so they're still looking at the success of it, and it also depends on funding, which really we may not know until the end of May's legislation session. What that program looks like. So I know, Jasmine, you said that you do use access as a criteria. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
What's the age limit for the older adults? Would be 65? Maybe less? They drop it to 55 or something?
well, WIC is not 50 or 55.
That's
Most
true.
of those
That's
folks
true.
are pretty young,
Yeah.
having kids.
Right.
I don't want a kid, none.
Okay. Yeah, again, I don't think that we'll be making a decision on anything, on any of these program changes, but just wanted, we were asked to bring them to you all. And then also some things were just outstanding items that we needed to discuss anyways, but, if there is any changes, I'll be sure to email you all, just share information as things come up, but, yeah, like Sarah said, the only inclusion of low-income people right now that we can verify is through RTA, and that program is expiring July 31st. So we'll meet once more before then. If we want to expand eligibility, but this was a good discussion to take back to staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then there's nothing else, right? So I guess motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Thank you, and we'll see you in May.
Give me a second.
I know.
Do you? I don't think you do on an adjournment. Well, yeah.
Nobody can say why not.